request Mr. Naresh Pachisia, President, to welcome Dr. Rudro with a bouquet of flowers. Ladies and gentlemen, our guests of honor today are Dr. Swati Nandi Chakravarti, Environment Consultant of the Cantonment Board, Government of India. May I request Madam Renuka Shah, Chairperson, Bharat Chamber Ladies Forum, to welcome Madam Swati Nandi Chakravarti with a bouquet of flowers. Can we have a big hand, please? Important person this afternoon, our guest of honor, Dr. Aniruddha Mukhopadhyay, Professor, Department of Environmental Science, University of Calcutta. May I request our President, Mr. Naresh Pachisia, to welcome Dr. Aniruddha Mukhopadhyay with a bouquet of flowers. Ladies and gentlemen, we would be now starting the proceedings of the session. And may I request Mr. Naresh Pachisia, President, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Rudro, Dr. Chakravarti, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, Renuka ji, members of the committee, members of the Ladies Forum, guests and friends. A very warm welcome to all of you to today's special session on fostering climate consciousness, business and beyond. Organized along with Bharat Chamber Ladies Forum to celebrate World Environment Day 2025. It is with immense pleasure that I extend a very hearty welcome to our guest in chief, Dr. Kalyan Rudro, Chairman West Bengal Pollution Control Board, for graciously sparing time from his busy schedule to address us on this significant occasion. I would also like to take this opportunity to warmly welcome our distinguished guests of honor, Dr. Swati Nandi Chakravarti, Environment Consultant of the Cantonment Board, Government of India, and Dr. Aniruddha Mukhopadhyay, Professor, Department of Environmental Science, University of Kolkata. We are truly privileged to have some eminent personalities amongst us today, and we look forward to their valuable insights on fostering a climate-conscious mindset across sectors, within business and beyond. Friends, World Environment Day is not merely a date on the calendar. It is a solemn reminder of the responsibilities that rest upon all of us as individuals, institutions, and industries. The theme of today's session has been carefully chosen to reflect the urgent need to embed environmental mindfulness into every sphere of our activity. Today, as the signs of environmental degradation become impossible to ignore, with rising temperatures, shrinking water resources, extreme weather events, and declining biodiversity, amongst others, we are compelled to move beyond symbolic gestures. There is a growing understanding that sustainability is no longer the responsibility of policymakers alone. It is a business imperative, a social obligation, and a moral duty of every citizen, all of us. Businesses today stand at a critical juncture. Climate-related disruptions are impacting operations, supply chains, logistics, and resource availability. Investors and consumers alike are demanding greater transparency and accountability in environmental impact. Forward-thinking organizations are already shifting towards green operations, sustainable sourcing, ethical production, and circular economy models. These transitions, while challenging, are also opening up new avenues for innovation and competitive advantage. Just now we were speaking before the event about this debate between development and environment, and we said, taking example of the real estate sector, that how some of the real estate developers have gone beyond just commercial consideration and trying to build extremely environment-friendly buildings, and be responsible towards environments, including aesthetics as well. So, however, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of climate consciousness must not be confined to corporate boardrooms. The beyond in our theme today is crucial. It urges us to take climate awareness beyond business and embed it into the very fabric of our everyday lives. Our speakers today may highlight how this broader understanding can be fostered across society to ensure it becomes a shared responsibility, guiding how we live, work, and interact with our environment. India, with its unique vulnerabilities and immense potential, has a special responsibility. Our country's ambitious commitments, from achieving 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel energy capacity by 2030 to reaching net zero emissions by 2070, reflect a determination to lead by example. Programs like Green Credit Initiative, Lifestyle for Environment Life Movement, Lifestyle for Environment Movement, and the National Electric Mobility Mission are just some of the many steps being taken to mainstream environmental thinking into national development. We look forward to hearing from our esteemed speakers on one key question: how can we effectively engage businesses and individuals alike to translate these national commitments into tangible climate action at every level? Success of environmental policies depends heavily on widespread awareness and active engagement across all levels of society. It is through collaborative platforms like today's special session that knowledge is shared, ideas are exchanged, and partnerships are forged, creating a robust foundation for meaningful climate action. As we reflect on the way forward, let us remind ourselves that fostering climate consciousness is not about occasional acts, but a continuous effort, one that evolves with time, technology, and learning. The goal is to create a world where every choice we make as businesses, institutions, or individuals is rooted in respect for the earth and responsibility towards future generations. With these words, I once again thank our distinguished speakers, guests, and all participants for joining us today. I am certain the insights shared today will leave a lasting impression and guide us in our ongoing efforts towards a sustainable and resilient future. I now invite Srimati Renuka Shah, Chairperson of the Ladies Forum, to kindly introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session. Thank you.
Dr. Rudra, Dr. Chakraborty, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, Naresh ji, my colleagues in the committee and the Ladies Forum, guests and friends. Namaste, good evening, and a very warm welcome to our event today. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today's special session. First, I have the honor of introducing our guest-in-chief, Dr. Kalyan Rudra. Dr. Rudra is a reputed river scientist and currently serves as the chairman of the West Bengal Pollution Control Board. He is widely acclaimed for his extensive research on river dynamics, particularly in the Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta. His scholarly works on changing river courses and flood management have significantly contributed to shaping environmental policy and raising public awareness in India. With a deep understanding of fluvial systems and a steadfast commitment to sustainable water resource management, Dr. Rudra stands as a leading voice in the field of environmental conservation. I now have the privilege to introduce Dr. Swati Nandi Chakraborty as one of our guests of honor today. Dr. Chakraborty is an accomplished environmental scientist and currently serves as the environment consultant to the Cantonment Board under the Government of India. She is also associated with the Department of Science and Technology, Government of West Bengal. Dr. Chakraborty has worked tirelessly to promote environmental awareness and sustainable development. Her dedication to further ecological balance, and her recognition as a UNESCO Fellow place her among the foremost voices in the field of environmental stewardship. Last but not the least, we have Dr. Anirudh Mukhopadhyay with us today as a guest of honor. Dr. Mukhopadhyay is a distinguished professor at the University of Calcutta with specialization in environmental biotechnology, bioremediation, and toxicology. With a robust academic background and extensive research experience, he has made significant contributions to understanding environmental pollution and developing innovative bioremediation strategies. Dr. Mukhopadhyay's work notably addresses the impact of heavy metals and pesticides on ecosystems, emphasizing sustainable and science-based approaches to environmental restoration. Beyond his research, he has co-edited several books on climate change and environmental issues, actively engaging in environmental advocacy and policy discourse. Friends, fostering climate consciousness requires us to fundamentally rethink how we interact with our environment beyond the confines of business and individual actions. It means embedding a deep sense of responsibility and care into every choice we make, recognizing that sustainable living is not optional, but essential for the future of our planet. Businesses must evolve from mere profit-driven entities to champions of ethical practices that prioritize ecological balance and social well-being. At the same time, communities and individuals must become active participants in this journey, driving demand for sustainable products and lifestyles. I believe that when business innovation, public policy, and grassroots movements unite in purpose, they create a powerful force capable of shaping a resilient and thriving world for generations to come. I would now request our learned speakers to kindly share their valuable insights and experiences on this vital topic, helping us deepen our understanding of how we can collectively foster climate consciousness across all spheres, business, community, and beyond. As we listen and engage, let us embrace the urgency of this moment and commit ourselves to actions that promote ecological balance, social equity, and long-term resilience. With these words, I request Dr. Chakraborty to kindly address the session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And it's over to you, Dr. Chakraborty.
There you go. With the presentations now.
You, as you wish. Yeah, as you wish.
Yeah, from there on. From there.
You can do it from here only.
No, I need to have.
Laptop hard to take.
Read here also. Yeah. Just a minute. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are here for celebrating World Environment Day. World Environment Day is a 5th June, and this year we have a theme of beat the plastic pollutions. So no for plastic pollutions. And it is a great initiative for Bharat Chamber of Commerce to join all together all the business communities and also the academic to become a think sessions for to have a greener planet and to explore something newer solutions for these plastics. And I'm hereby giving the honor to present over here that to get the invitations from Sri Naresh Pasturia, President, Bharat Chamber of Commerce, and Renuka Shah, Chairperson, and also the Dr. Kullan Rudra Sir, Chairman, WPCB, and Dr. Anirudh Mukhopadhyay, Professor, Department of Environment Science, and all the distinguished guests over here. So now I'll discuss on particularly issues you have heard about that plastic pollutions. And this plastic pollutions, there could be the solution is the bioplastics. I think we have hardly heard about this bioplastics. When we're talking about that, there's the climate consciousness. Like how this climate consciousness will come, there must be the thought of that sustainable technology, and with that sustainable technology, we must think about that there are the opportunity of work with the circular economy. So these bioplastics are works join in hand to create the techno-socio-economic response for environmental impact assessment for these plastics, whatever the waste it is created on earth. First, I'm coming to the point of, with the next slides, that understanding what exactly the bioplastics. It is a renewable source, and there the renewable source, whatever we are using, that we are getting from the agriculture waste, as if a raw source material for bio waste, what we called it as an bio waste. And it is a vegetable peeled off or the vegetable sources, sugar canes, and also there are the different types of seed waste could be act as in solutions for this plastic that we are using right now in a habituated manner to every part of our lifestyle managements. These plastics become a habit for all of us. Now that could be give us the solutions with the bioplastics. And this bioplastics here, one of the solution is being given on that particular slide, that there are these are the peel off of different types of the vegetables what we are taking every day. So we takes the potato, that potato peeled off we are taking as a raw materials for the source of starch. Because this bioplastics categorically it is of two types. There are the bio-based plastics and the bio-based non-biodegradable plastics. So bio-based plastics are basically the starch-based one and the polylactic acids one. These are mainly getting from this source of this particularly like whatever the peeled off I have shown over here, and the next figure is shown, that is the dry waste, the dry seed waste. Like we take generally the different types of fruits. The Indian peoples, we are very much habituated with the taking of the fruit. So what about the fruit waste, the seed part? So that seed could be after the drying natures, there are the most percentage of the having the starch. So that starch could be used for the bioplastic preparations. And there are the different literature also found that there are the basically different types of the food waste which are coming from the different markets that could be utilized for the as a raw materials for the bioplastic preparations. So here the environmental imperative like against this bioplastics is that there are the carbon footprints. Like why we are going for this bioplastics? As we know, these plastics are basically made up of fossil fuels. So this fossil fuels, it's gives us as much as possible when we are trying to recycle the plastics, that also by the landfilling methods, or basically we are incinerating this on the field itself, because according to the global reports, like there is a market of the plastic using, it is 8,300 million ton. So it is day by day increased with our populations, the use of plastics. Now, day by day, that carbon footprint is also increased by the use of these plastics. Now, what about this bioplastic markets? So is there anything is there in the global concept? Yes, the market growth and the opportunities are there. And if we see that from 2022 onwards, there is a 5.3 million ton of plastics are demanding in the markets. So the bioplastics, not only in the India, it is globally. It is primarily, it is found that the Australia and Europe, to maintain the sustainable development goal, they are coming the concept of the bioplastics into the markets. And the challenges and limitations, of course, you will be asking about the price. Then if we can go for single-use plastic, it is obvious it is per kg, we are getting it in a 90 rupees. Then how come the general people, when we are talking about that to have the bioplastics on that particular price, it is impossible. Still now, no process, like the no business manufacturing units, still now not gives these things in this low price, but still it is there in the market by processing different the starch-based sources, by utilizing the starch-based sources with the like the help from the government-funded collaborative projects. They are coming up in the TDB kind of models. They are coming up in a model of that is having the 280 rupees per kg. So now you can think about that in a price concept, it is bit of high. But there, if we are talking about that plastic, yes, it is very durable. It has the very durability. There are the single-use plastic easily available. The transparency is there. But we have to think about the sustainable aspects of our life. So the product variability must have to come on these particular aspects, that they're the bio-based plastic productions pathways. If you can see there, as I have mentioned, there are the two different types. One is the bio-PE and bio-PET, that exactly replacing the PET. Like whatever we have in our currently in the market, like the polyethylene tetraphthalates, that exactly can be replaced by the bio-PET. And this bio-PET is the non-biodegradable one. But one thing we have to consider in this point of time in our discussions, that which one will give the priority? That is the sustainability, or it is a kind of like the life cycle assessment issue, or the impact, how much it is creating impact on our earth. But whenever we are studied about that the life cycle assessment aspects of the bioplastics, the every kind of bioplastics, it would be seen that there are of course the sustainability issues comes prior of that particular the impact whatever we are considering on the earth itself through the life cycle assessment studies. So here you can see that plastic value chain according to the life cycle assessment or end of life. Like end of life means that we are using a plastic, but we are not considering that how it is producing, that when it is producing, that how much water, how much carbon dioxide it is generating into the environments. So the life cycle assessment tools basically assess all these things, that is the environmental and also the economical parameter of the product and the process, whatever we are using into our daily users purpose. So that considering on that point of view, we can consider these end of life sessions of this bioplastic are minimize the carbon footprint on our earth. And here this figure is very common to us. And we all know that plastics are converting into the microplastics and the nanoplastics. And we know that the regular exposures of the plastics will give us the different types of diseases. Like we can have the different COPDs when we are just getting the fumes of the incinerated that plastics from our waste landfilling sites, or rather when it is converting into the microplastic that can also enter into our lining of our wall of the intestinal wall, so the damaging the tissues, and it is indirectly entering into our bloodstreams. So these are the basically when we are getting like different kind of symptoms, like we are having the enteric disease much more, what exactly the reason we could not find out. So maybe that microplastics or the nanoplastics causing the problem that could be revealed on that reports. So there the bioplastics productions, and also we can get to know that there are the different types of bioplastics. As I have mentioned that PLA, polylactic acids, and polyhydroacid, like poly-PHA, hydroalkanurate. So these two are the major one which are being very much used in the markets of the bioplastics. So all these two are being used from the biological sources. So now we have to think that based on our resources which could be utilized for the packaging purpose or the different types of our like packaging industry mostly utilize also the this type of single use plastic. So where we could replace these things. But what we are missing, that is the overcoming these hurdles. We need R&D involvement. Research and development on these sectors is very much required. And another thing is very importantly required that there are the strict implications of the law. Like still now we have only in our market that there should be not be a permissible limit of this plastic is below 120 microns. But other than that, what will be the alternatives? Then what people will going to use in the market? What exactly the color code? How the general people could understand about that which one is the single use plastics and which is not. So that should be implemented very strictly in a local level manner. And the futures of this bioplastics, of course, there are quite the different types of the biosources here utilized. As of I have mentioned the few starch, corn, and these are also the sources, and the algae are also the good source of these bioplastic preparations. And there the circular economical aspects, we also could like highlight the points that there are the carbon footprint are also limiting on this particular case to case, that the variants of the bioplastics, whatever it is we are going to produce. So now it is our call of actions that we are here today, that to become a conscious. So become a conscious about what? To get something, a newer solution which could be solve our present problem. So this bioplastics needs the advocacy and the policy change in these respects, and to educate the lower peoples, like those who are using in the market itself, like who is basically demanding the plastics. So they need to aware about the fact that yes, bioplastic, it is there in the market, so we can use this plastics in replace of the cases where it is possible. And now I'll just show you one video, like why we are coming in the discussions of this reducing the carbon footprint and all that things. Because of that, like today everyone knows that in the Sikkim, what is going to happen? So there the flooded, already the different areas are under the water, and not only it is in the Sikkim in India, the northeast part, that is also Nigeria, that also the flooded is happening. And if you can see, there are the volcanoes are also being coming out on the region of Etanama in Iran. So there is that some changes are coming in the climate. So what exactly we are affected us, that I'll just show you within a 3 minutes video. Just see and do some actions, whatever possible from our ends. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns. Such shifts can be natural due to changes in the sun's activity or large volcanic eruptions. But since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generate greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperature. The main greenhouse gases that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building.
Cleaning land and cutting down the forest can also release carbon dioxide. Agriculture, oil, and gas operations are major source of methane emissions. Energy, industry, transport, buildings, agriculture, and land use are among the main sectors causing the greenhouse gases. Climate scientists have showed that humans are responsible for virtually all global heating over the decades. The average temperature of the Earth's surface is now about 1.2 degrees centigrade warmer than it was in the late 1800s before the Industrial Revolutions. Many people think climate change mainly means warmer temperatures. The temperature rise is only the beginning of the story. Because the earth is a system where everything is connected, changes is one area can influence the changes in all others. The consequences of climate change now include, among all other, intensifying the droughts, water scarcity, severe fires, rising sea levels, flooding, melting polar ice, catastrophic storms, and declining the biodiversity. Climate change can affect our health too, ability to grow food, housing, safety, and work. Some of us are already more vulnerable to climate impacts such as the people living in small island nations and other developing countries. Conditions like sea level rise and salt water intrusions have advanced to the point where whole communities have had to relocate. Unprotected droughts are putting people at risk of famine. In the future, the number of people displaced by weather related events is expected to rise.
So, with this, I'm concluding my speech, and I will just expecting that all of us, wherever we are attached with, like everywhere, we should some act for the climates and some initiative that should give us the sustainable development that is more prioritized from the aspects of the circular economy to be implemented on the Mother Earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chakravarti, for your quite insightful comments on, rather, I would say a curtain raiser on bioplastics as a change agent for our environmental friendly usage of things. I'll give you one example for those who may, for everybody to correlate. Earlier, when you used to have a Starbucks coffee, for instance, the cover was a plastic cover. Now, the same is getting replaced by bioplastic cover. And just to how Indian entrepreneurs are also trying to make these products and make it a business, I would say, a business case out of this is also, for example, one of the largest sugar companies in India, Balrampur Chini Mills, is putting up a bioplastics manufacturing facility out of sugarcane in Balrampur in Uttar Pradesh. And that is going to be India's first such case. And, it's a huge project of 3,500 crores. And hopefully it should be also making a business sense for them. As, for example, a similar such project in Thailand has been a very successful business venture. So just to give you about the, how businesses in finance, investments, everything is getting merged for the sake of creating environment friendly products. With these words, now can I invite Dr. Aniruddha Mukhopadhyay to share his views, please. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for the nice presentation from Dr. Chakraborty. And I belong to University of Calcutta, and basically I'm a teacher. I also do research in the field of environmental biotechnology and environmental science for last few years. And for me, environment is basically, environmental issues are basically emotional issues for me. But in our country, most of the solutions are technical, though it is technical solution. Most of the decisions for solving those problems are coming from the executives. As a researcher, I also do some remediation strategies for solving such problems. Once Einstein was asked to define science, and he answered that science is an attempt to make the chaotic diversity of our sense experience correspond to a logically uniform system of thought. So what Einstein told is to explain the chaotic diversity around us. And we have to understand the dynamics of this chaotic diversity if we want to solve the environmental problems. We discuss about the problems, but there is another part of the story, that the natural environment is also there. And we have to know how this natural environment that exists around us. Now, the thing is, there is a debate between the West and the East. The West is also telling us to, protect the environment. Their philosophy of protecting the environment is no environment without nature. And our philosophy is no environment without social justice. Because we have huge population in our country. That is another part of the story. When we discuss about the environment, we discuss about soil, water, air, biodiversity, but we don't discuss about population. That is another part. Anyway, as a country, India is just 2.4% of the global space. India is just 2.4% of the global space. And on a space of 2.4%, we are having about 17% of the global population. And we are talking about energy. We are burning the fossil fuels. We are producing this energy. We are using that. And we are burning the, coal. And whatever coal we have in our country, it is just 6% of the global coal. We are using fuel. We are using the natural gas. It is just 0.6% of the global natural gas. So we have little amount of coal and natural gas in our country. But we are very rich. We are very rich in one thing, biodiversity. 8.1% of the global biodiversity is present in our country. But if you ask me how many species of plants and animals are there in our country, I am not in a position to tell you the story. Though the Zoological Survey of India was established in our city in the year 1916. And the Botanical Survey of India was established in our city in the year 1895. I am not in a position to tell you how many species of plants and animals are there in our country. That is why we are stressing upon the documentation of those biological resources. And that is known as biodiversity documentation. And one particular program has been initiated in our country that is known as PBR, or the People's Biodiversity Register. About 1 lakh of animal species are there in our country, about 1 lakh known animal species. And about maybe 47,000 of, 47 to 50,000 of known plant species are there in our country. Why those plants and animals are so important for me? I'm just giving you 2 or 3 examples. Suppose one particular plant is there which is found in our West Bengal. The name of that particular plant is Pteris vittata. You know that arsenic is a very big problem in our state. That particular Pteris vittata plant can remediate the effect of that particular, arsenic. So the plant is able to solve the problem. There are many microbes. Few of my, colleagues, and I have also published one paper that some of the microbes, the bacteria, they're able to degrade the, plastic materials. So that is a very significant finding. And another part, I'm telling you that one particular, Conus magus, in Bengali you call it as Chinook, a mollusk. A particular active bioingredient is present in that particular Conus magus, and that particular active ingredient is used against the pain of cancer. So these things are important. Do you know leech? In Bengali you call it as joke, Hirudinea granulosa. In that particular leech, we have isolated one particular, ingredient, which is known as hirudinine, a protein. And that particular protein can be used against different kinds of blood diseases. So answer is there. Answer is there in the plants, in the animals, in the microbes. And they are our immediate neighbors. We have to protect them. And that is why I quote from one great scientist. His name is Professor E.O. Wilson. E.O. Wilson was a Harvard University professor. When I was a student, I was doing my PhD, I wrote a letter to Professor Wilson, and he sent me a few papers. And one paper was known as Gene, Mind and Culture. When I went to US for my postdoctoral, I met Professor Wilson. He died recently, maybe 6, 5, 7 years back. And he wrote a beautiful book. And the name of that book is Biodiversity. And he popularized the concept of biodiversity. I must mention his name. He popularized the concept of biodiversity, Professor E.O. Wilson. And the thing is, today we are on 3rd June, day after tomorrow, we'll be celebrating Environment Day. And this Environment Day, the topic will be the beat plastic pollution. Madam has just explained. Every year we celebrate. 2 months back, on 22nd of April, our power, our planet was the theme. We are discussing about the power position in our country. Well, I want to mention the name of another great lady, Rachel Carson. She wrote one good book, fantastic book. She was a marine biologist. She was an American lady. She took birth in the year 1907. She died in the year 1964. And she wrote a fantastic book known as what? She wrote a book, Silent Spring. Because the USDA, United States Department for Agriculture, they were using a particular pesticide. And that particular pesticide was killing the birds. Because these pesticides are entering inside the bird, and the bird, they have the calcium metabolic channel, and that is blocking that particular calcium metabolic channel. And the birds are laying their eggs, but we are hardly getting any new chicks from that. The same thing is happening in our country. Hardly you are getting the vultures, shukun. Why? Because, vultures, they feed upon the scavengers. And when you are treating the cattle, you are giving a particular medicine which contains a drug that contains what? Diclofenac sodium. And that diclofenac sodium is actually interfering with their kidney. And that is causing the renal failure. And that is ultimately responsible for the killing of this particular, vulture population. We do not know how these, pesticides, heavy metals are targeting us. Once Tagore, he told us that, Jare tumi piche phelo she tomare tanishe poshate. Ultimately, whatever you are producing, whatever synthetic medicines, whatever synthetic chemicals you are introducing in the environment, that is targeting the human beings because you are at the top of ecosystem. In 1972, there was a great conference at Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. And our then Prime Minister, Mrs. Gandhi, she went there and she talked about 3 words, and all the words are starting with capital P. P for pollution, P for poverty, and P for population. And on 3rd of June 2025, I am also mentioning another P, that is P for politics, politics of environment. Environment has the 4th dimension, that is politics. And that is why when the prime ministers, presidents, they meet with each other, they talk about what will happen to us. What will happen to us? We do not know. We are talking about the climate change. We are talking about other problems. We are really concerned what will happen to us. In 1972, she went to that particular, conference at Stockholm. She came back. And you see, after coming back to our country, most of the environmental acts were enacted in our country after 1972. In 1972, the Wildlife Act was initiated. In 1974, the Water Act. In 1981, the Air Act. In 1986, the Environment Protection Act, that is EPA. And finally, there are so many rules: hazardous waste rules, plastic waste rules, biomedical waste rules, the solid waste management rules. And then finally, in 2002, the Biodiversity Act. In 2005, the Disaster Management Act. So many acts, rules, regulations, all these things are there. And this is very good acts and rules and regulations in our country. There is no doubt about that. So there are acts, there are regulations, and there are things in our country. I want to mention another point, that is, population. I was just mentioning about the population. Right now, we have 140 crores of population in our country. And there is a projection that in the year 2050, the population of the globe will be around 950 crores. And when the population of the globe will be 950 crores, the population of India will be around 167 to 169 crores. And so far as Asia is concerned, in Asia, there will be 500 crores of population, 500 crores. I was just going through the data. In the year 1974, the population was around 400 crores globally. Now it is about 840 crores. So when the population is more, what will happen? The people will go to the land, will go to the, more water they demand, more biodiversity they demand. So these things are happening now. And we are talking about the climate change, and that is happening. For the last 100 years, the temperature has risen by more than 0.74 degrees centigrade. That is true. The sea level has risen. That is true. And every year, we are adding 1.5 parts per million of carbon dioxide into air. That is true. And if this happens, what will happen? The lower level or the coastal, water will inundate the lower, areas. And you see in Asia, most of the countries, they have the, coastal areas. So the coastal population, they will migrate to the mainland. In India, about 30% of the population of India, they live within the 50 kilometers from the coastal area. So all these people, they migrate towards the mainland. And this kind of migration is known as climate migration or climate-driven migration. Many people are working on that. And I was going through a data which shows, this is amazing, 76% of the total migration globally is caused by climate disasters. Climate disasters. And only 24% of the migration is being caused by war, conflict, or something like that. So climate is coming in a very big way. So you are talking about climate consciousness. Yes, this is very pertinent. This is very relevant. Climate consciousness. We are talking about the climate change, and climate is impacting what? It is impacting health. It is impacting agriculture. It is impacting freshwater. It is impacting, your society. Everything. Climate is actually impacting. In agriculture, the productivity is falling down. Not only that, I'm just mentioning one point. This is very important. Even the high level of carbon dioxide is impacting the quality of food. Whatever protein, whatever micronutrients you are getting from the food materials, that is being impacted by carbon dioxide level. Many people, they're working on that. So, suppose we are taking, two breads. You are not getting enough of a protein. These things are happening. So what will happen to us? Water. The international bodies, they have commented that water is going to be a very big problem. And if the Third World War happens, it will happen due to water. And many have commented that there are few water famine countries, including India. India is already water stressed country. 54% of India, it doesn't have any, good amount of water. Water can be, classified as groundwater and surface water. In West Bengal, we are lucky that we have enough of water in our state. But at the same time, if we use more and more, both the quality and the quantity, that both are being, compromised. You see the development. I was just talking with you about development. I was going through a particular seminar report that was held at Europe, and that was organized by some economists. The topic of that seminar was degrowth of economy, not the growth of economy. So enough of growth is there. They're talking about the degrowth of economy. You can debate on the subject. But they are telling that globally, maybe for the growth of economy, we are losing some environment. Suppose in ecology, there is a concept which is known as keystone concept, keystone species concept. In Bengal, banyan tree is a, keystone species. Why? Because it is producing more and more oxygen. It is absorbing carbon dioxide. It is giving, it is having, nests. It is giving shelter to the insects, spiders, birds. It is giving us, shades. It is a, keystone species. If you cut a particular, banyan tree, it will impact the local, ecosystem or the environment. This is known as keystone species concept. Now the thing is, you are cutting a particular, banyan tree. That banyan tree was giving, shelter for few people who were discussing a very important, meeting at the panchayat level, like us. And this meeting is being held here with the help of this energy. They were, using any kind of energy. But you are cutting this particular forest. So how much of environment we are losing when we are talking about the GDP? So for the growth of 6% GDP, we are losing 9.5% of environment. So in terms of environment, we are actually de-developing, we are not developing. This is one part of the story. And you see the humans are impacted. Maybe 5 years back, we experienced COVID. People are telling that when you are cutting a forest, the microbes, the virus, the bacteria, they are trying to find new hosts. And we are the easy host because we have many numbers, right? And this kind of migration from the animals to the humans, that is known as zoonosis. This is known as zoonotic disease. This is one hypothesis. If that is so, what will happen? Because more and more you are becoming the target of those microbes, those viruses, those things. Because in between the forest and the animal, there was another buffer zone, and in those buffer zone, the animals were there. So they are targeting us. This is known as zoonotic disease. Day by day, we are experiencing more and more vector-borne diseases like the dengue, malaria, and in some countries where there was no malaria or dengue, now we are experiencing such things. So these things are there. So, so far as particularly the waterborne diseases, this kind of diseases we are experiencing here and there. So health is under threat. Another point is, I was talking about water. SAD is there, so I should not tell anything about water, sir. Air, SAD is there, I will not tell anything about air. But biodiversity is definitely being impacted. Their migration, their behavior, their number, etc., those are being, compromised due to these kind of things. And another thing I'm telling you, that agriculture. Agriculture, the productivity has fallen due to this. I'm just giving you one or two examples. Suppose in Malaysia, there is one variety of rice that is being cultivated. The name of that variety, suppose X. A particular virus has infected that particular rice. I mean, the paddy plant. The productivity has fallen down. But later on, it was discovered by the agriculture scientists that one particular variety is there in Kerala, and you won't take that particular, rice by your choice. It looks like, blood-stained rice. The local name of that rice is Patambi variety. And from that particular Patambi variety, one particular gene was there, that is a wild gene, and that was introduced in that particular high-yielding variety. And then it got some resistance. So maintenance of the wild varieties is very important. Maintenance of the wild varieties are very important. And that is why I'm commenting about one thing. The name of, humans are Homo sapiens sapiens. So many people, they question us, sir, what will happen after 50 years to human beings? Will there be any change for us? Yes, some changes are being held. Those are another point. But the thing is, from one species to another species, intermediate, one thing is there that is known as the formation of the subspecies. But for humans, as because there is no isolation and other things, the person who is living in the Sundarban area and the person who is living in Philadelphia or Canberra, they are different in one way. Because physical isolation is not isolation in case of the human, civilization. Rather, the main isolating mechanism is technology. The main isolating guidance is economy. That is why it is not Homo sapiens sapiens. Now, we are two different subspecies. I am Homo sapiens technologicus and they are Homo sapiens biologicus. They are living just as a biological being and I am living just as a technological being. I'm using cars, I'm taking medicines, all these things are there. So I'm taking the help of the technology. And that's how what will happen to us, we do not know. And many people are, trying to know what will happen due to this introduction of huge number of, technological things. We are talking about AI, etc., etc., etc. We do not know what will happen to us. At the same time, the environment is impacting us in a big way. And what will be the answer? Answer should be there. In environment, whenever we are talking, I want to tell you 5 points. Number one is reduce, then reuse, recycle. The fourth point is restore. Restore. In Bengali, we call it as punaruddhar kara. Wetland restoration, forest restoration. I went to Noamundi. You know Noamundi. The Tatas, they get their, iron ores from there. They are restoring the forest over there. Restoring the forest. That is a fantastic thing. So, restoration of forest is possible. So, restoration is a very big point. And the fifth point is rethink. What is rethink? I quote Barnatsky. Barnatsky was a Czechoslovakian scientist. He actually uttered one particular word, that is new system. NOO, new system. We know ecosystem. Ecosystem is, anything and everything surrounding the individual. But new system is what? New is conscience. It is your conscience. It is your decision that will ultimately decide whether your environment will be there or not. You know what will happen if you cut a forest. But at the same time, you have conscience. You know what will happen if you cut a forest and how you can replace the forest. And whether you will be going to cut that forest or not. So that kind of decision is known as new system. New is a conscience. That is very important. Barnatsky, he gave this particular concept. So 5 words, all the words are starting with RE. This is Peter Warshall's concept. Reduce, reuse, recycle, restore, and rethink. In the year 2015, before that, in the year 1992, that is the greatest event. with regards to environment. And three things came from that event. It was held at Rio de Janeiro. You know it very well, Rio de Janeiro. And most of the environmental ministers, head of the states, including the prime ministers, presidents, academicians, researchers, students, activists, people like you, the entrepreneurs, all of them, they went there. And they discussed not about politics, they discussed about what will happen to us. What will happen to us? Do something. Because we have discovered few things like acid rain, like ozone hole, like greenhouse gas, like global warming, like biodiversity loss. We know all these things. But what will happen to us? What is the solution? And we discussed all these things in the year 1992. And three things came from that particular event. One is CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. Number two is FCCC, Framework Convention for Climate Change. And the number three is Agenda 21. What will be our agenda in the year 21st century? After that, the Kyoto Protocol, the Conference of Summit, we are discussing what will happen to us, what will happen to us. In the year 2015, the UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, their head office is at Nairobi. They have initiated a particular program that is very important program that is known as Sustainable Development Goal. The concept of sustainability, the basis of sustainable development, concept came from a particular document, and that document was prepared by Brundtland. Some pronounces it like Brundtland. Anyway, Brundtland. And the name of the document is Our Common Future. Our common future. Who are living on Earth, we have a common future. Once, a great astrophysicist was asked in US, what is the necessity of going to Mars and all these, moon and all these things? He told that, well, as human being on Earth, we are alone. We can't communicate with anyone intellectually. Maybe other people are there, other creatures are there. They want to, communicate intellectually with us. That is why we have to communicate with them. Anyway, that is one part of the story. But the thing is, in the year 2015, we have initiated Sustainable Development Goal SDG 17. 17 points are there, connecting all the, areas of environment. Industry was there, partnership was there, life below water was there, life on Earth was there, climate change was there, everything. Sanitation, clean energy, affordable energy, all these things were there. And within a span of 15 years, they're targeting to solve certain problems. And right now, they are marking every year. Right now, Denmark is doing very good. Last year, maybe they have scored 79 out of 100. India is also doing good in some sectors. And one such sector is, energy. We are doing good in solar. We have made some progress in the, climate action. So these things are there. I want to mention another point that is also important. That is a particular work that has been made by Rockström. Rockström is a scientist. He, along with 10 other colleagues, they have published a paper in Nature. And they have identified 9 factors. They have identified 9 factors. And out of those 9 factors, they have identified 3 factors which has crossed all limits. And what are those factors? Number 1, climate change. Number 2, biodiversity loss. And number 3 is nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen cycle is connected with soil. So we have crossed 3 limits. They are continuing this particular work. And maybe other factors, including ocean acidification, chemical pollution, all these things, that will be crossed within a short span of time. So what will happen to us? We have to give some answer for that. And we have to think very seriously. Very seriously. It's good that the business community, the entrepreneurs, they are also thinking in that direction. I've seen in West Bengal particularly, there are certain areas like, when you are building the big, housings, 20% plantation is mandatory. And with the permission of the DFO, Divisional Forest Officer, you are selecting the species and you are planting those species in those areas. That is very good. And in industries, 33% plantation is mandatory. Few programs have been initiated, like rainwater harvesting, like groundwater recharging. The concept of zero liquid discharge, ZLD, has also come. We are talking about the CETP, CSTP. All these concepts have come. New pollution control technologies are being implemented, that are being monitored by the regulatory agencies. The regulatory agency is doing very good in that direction, and many things can be done. And there is a general consciousness amongst the common people that is very important. And I think the Chamber of Commerce can initiate many areas. In many areas, you can do a lot of things, particularly in schools, colleges, universities. With common people, you can do a lot of things. And I think this is a very good gesture on the part of you that you have initiated a program connected with the environment. Maybe I'm a little bit emotional about my subject, and there are many other things that can be communicated with you. I know that many experts are here. So, namaskar to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, for a very insightful, interesting, and passionate address on the subject of environment. Was almost like a preface for a masterclass on environmental science. And particularly, you made it very thought-provoking with your 5 words, which would give a food for thought to everybody. Preventive is reuse, reduce, recycle, restore, and rethink. And with your permission, I would like to add one more with Hari, and that is respect. With our respect for environment itself will make us do things and not do things to spoil the environment and be responsible for that. By the way, responsible also is Ari. Sorry. So just to and thank you for your suggestion about the chamber getting engaged with educational institutions. There are quite a few that are affiliated with our chamber, and we will certainly take up these things if they could use their institutions as awareness creation amongst students. With these words, now I have the pleasure of inviting our guest in chief, Dr. Kalyan Rudra, Chairman, West Bengal Pollution Control Board, to address us.
Thank you, Naresh ji, madam, and my dear friends. I'm possibly the teacher of the last period. And since I have taught for about more than 3 decades, I understand how difficult it is to draw the attention in the last period. So, but head sir and headmistress sitting beside me will not allow me to leave. Please bear with me for about 15 minutes or so that at the end of the day, you can have a good sleep at home. The topic chosen here is definitely very close to my heart: fostering climate consciousness, business and beyond. Yes, I congratulate you for choosing this topic, because last 3 years or so, we had been engaged in preparing a climate change action plan for West Bengal. And it is a direction from the Government of India to each of the states in the country to prepare a climate change action plan. When I was given the responsibility, initially what I did, I procured a database from IMD, Indian Meteorological Department. They maintain a huge archive at Pune, commencing from 1901 till date. It is the daily meteorological data they are recording. And I requested them to give me the entire data set, because in West Bengal, rainfall is recorded at various point of time in about 330 meteorological stations. And the temperature is recorded at about, say, 50 stations. This is not exclusively by IMD, but irrigation department and other universities, they are also maintaining. Before going deep into the West Bengal climate scenario, I would like to draw your attention to a report published by World Meteorological Organization, precisely called WMO, in 2024. It said that 2023 was the warmest period in the history of the human society. They have record of about 176 years. And they said that 2023, keeping the base year, they call this industrial revolution period, that is 1850 to 1900, is taken, the average temperature of that period is taken as the base year. They calculated that the average temperature of 2023 was 1.46 degree plus minus 1.2 degree above the base year. And the target fixed in the COP, Conference of Parties Paris, in 2050 said that if the average temperature increase above 1.5 degree, you will be in great crisis. So crisis knocking at the door. 2024 broke the record of 2023. And I remember on 30th April, if your memory serves you, Kolkata recorded 45 degrees centigrade, possibly historically the highest. And at that point of time, Delhi recorded more than 50 degrees centigrade. Not only the temperature, when I was analyzing the rainfall pattern of this part of the country, I find that rainfall pattern is also changing. The century scale rainfall data, when I analyze, we find that there is a tendency of delayed monsoon. We expect monsoon here between 8th to 11th June. In most of the year, it is not coming in the second week of June. Sometimes in the last week of June. And after a rainfall, you will find a long mid-monsoon break. And there is also a tendency of short duration intense rainfall. Short duration intense rainfall may cause disaster. You can remember what happened in Kedarnath in 2013 and subsequently in many other places. Short duration intense rainfall means more flood. There will be less infiltration, recharging the groundwater table, more runoff. There will be more riverbank erosion, more displacement, and more crop loss. Another important issue, what we have noted, that monsoon has a tendency to be extended beyond September. Monsoon expected to be ended in 30th September. But when it extends beyond September, means the very matured crop, that is Kharif crop, will be damaged on the agricultural field. And that may lead to a conflict sometimes between, you can see in the newspaper, DVC and the state government. There's a DVC has induced water from the dams and that resulted the crop loss, etc., etc. The issue is climate change. And we have more and more landslides. West Bengal is the only state in the country which extends from Himalaya down to Bay of Bengal. And if you read the report of the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, it's identified two areas in the globe which are most vulnerable. One is Himalaya other is the coastal tract. And in Bengal, what we find in right at this moment, Sikkim is disconnected. I spent my childhood in Kalimpong. I have never seen Tista coming over the road at Tista Bazaar. Almost every year we find that Tista is coming over the road. And in most of the time, the national highway is disconnected. Darjeeling, Kalimpong, and Sikkim remains disconnected. This is not exclusively due to excessive rainfall or climate change, but the way we have changed the hill slope, the way we have modified the hill slope, way we have destabilized the hill slope, that triggers landslide too. And it causes a huge debris, and that is being dumped into the river. We have created a series of hydropower dams. Sir, we had been discussing about the Sardar Sarovar and other dams too. We have a gross misconception about the rivers. Because when we tame the river, that may be for irrigation or for hydropower generation. These are the two major purposes of taming our river system. In all cases, your mind is river is the conduit of flowing water. But river has three more components too. It carries sediment load. The Ganga Brahmaputra system carried so much of sediment load for millions of years, and that led to the building of this largest delta of the world. So it has the ability to transfer sediment load and build the new land. So when we tame a river somewhere, made a structure across it, you are flowing water is being stagnant water pool, and it compels the river to deposit the sediment load. This means reduction of the cross-sectional area. This is point number one. Second is river is always rich in biodiversity. So river has water, river has sediment load, river has biodiversity, river has energy too. So all these issues must be taken into account. Yes, we need to exploit energy, but how? That is the big question. Right at this moment, 130 cities in this country are declared as non-attainment city, where the air quality is not fit for breathing. This includes 6 cities in Bengal, like Kolkata, Howrah, Barakpur, Haldia, Durgapur, Asansol, and all major metropolis of the country, Delhi, Bombay, Madras, Chennai, all. Fortunately, after sustained efforts, sir, you had been saying that pollution control board is sometime villain, sometime hero. But here, one success story. After collaborating with KMC, Kolkata has been declared as one of the cleanest metropolis of the country this year. This is not an easy task. Yes, I have newspaper.
I
have data.
I've read it.
I have data. I have data, but it is not an easy task, because when there was complete lockdown, I was sitting in my office. I called my scientist that this is a unique opportunity. তুমি তোমার লাইফ টাইমে আরেকবার এই সুযোগ পাবে না, when all anthropogenic activities are shut down. Let us see how water quality improves, how air quality improves. Believe me, air quality of Kolkata improved by about 50%. Then I started to explore. I collaborated with IIT Delhi and many other premier research institutes. It said that two factors which are beyond your control. One is the meteorology. It is called mixing zone. Mixing zone means there is a layer from the surface. It is about 1000 meters where maximum concentration of pollutant you will find. When temperature falls, this layer comes down, and that leads to increasing concentration. This vertical oscillation of the mixing layer is related to temperature. We can't control. That's why winter season is very bad. During my childhood, I liked the winter season আমাদের পরীক্ষা টরীক্ষা হয়ে যেত, আমরা চিড়িয়াখানা যেতাম, ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি যেতাম, খুব ভালো লাগতো। Since I took the charge of the Pollution Control Board, I want the winter to go away because every day we will find the headline. But it had been there. It had been there. If you understand Bengali, possibly the poet, it is the first time in Bengal he wrote, বলে গেল পড়ার শীতানাথ বন্ধ, আকাশের গায়ে নাকি টকটক গন্ধ, টকটক থাকে না হলে পরে বৃষ্টি, তখন দেখেছি চেপে একেবারে বৃষ্টি। He was talking about acid rain. What a unique way of describing this. This is none other than Sukumar Rai. What a genius he was. So this second which we can't control is that we have complete reversal of the planetary wind system. The southwest monsoon goes from Bay of Bengal through Bengal and then northwest. It is absolutely free from pollution because it is raining then. But when it comes back during winter, it carries about 50% of the pollution. Even from Delhi, air comes. So this is the problem which we can't handle. But we are working to control the in situ pollution, and you will be happy to know that I have taken a very optimistic project where any industry house can participate. We have about 800 kilometer borderline with Jharkhand, where from this northwestern wind comes. We have started to create a bioshield, a forest cover. From Jharkhand, it will extend up to Birbhum and then up to Dinajpur. It will gradually, in phases, we are proceeding towards it. It will intercept the part of this pollutant entering Bengal. So it will take about a decade to grow. But when it is full grown, I believe that people, those who are going to see a concrete Chinese wall, will come to Bengal to see a green wall that we have been able to create it. Then coming back to West Bengal, what we have noted, yes, maximum temperature has increased by about 0.66 degrees centigrade in century scale. But minimum temperature is more increasing because it is about 1.10 centigrade. That's why you can't see the winter in the city. Cities almost winter has gone away because the winter temperature, the rainfall pattern, if increases, what it will happen? And if the rainfall reading is interrupted, nature knows the best kind of engineering. We are expecting June rainfall. Right at this moment, entire Bengal Delta is dry. The first raindrop falling here it will be absorbed and recharging groundwater table. It will fill up the wetland, it will fill up all natural reservoirs, it will fill up the river. But as time progresses, June, July, August, it means the soil will gradually be saturated. Groundwater will be fully recharged. All rivers will be banked full. So at the late September, when there is a intense short duration rainfall, there will be more flood and more devastation. So the rhythm of rainfall means you will be facing another challenge relating to climate change. So this rainfall pattern, so 4 areas of impact by climate change is lithosphere. This is the topmost layer of the surface. Second is hydrosphere, our water bodies. Third is atmosphere, that is the air and etc. And lastly, the biosphere. My friend has already spoken about. I was reading one paper recently that in 1924, Rabindranath Tagore wrote Akash Bhora Surya Tara Bishwa Bhora Pran. In 2024, WWF, Rabindranath wrote this in 1924. And in 2024, WWF published a Living Planet Index. It said that since 1970, the species population includes different species, including plants. Globally, we have lost about 73%. In the same time, since 1970, the global population has doubled. that means more and more ecological footprint, more demand for water, more and more demand for fresh water. And my friend rightly says water is increasingly becoming most serious crisis in India, more than roti, kapra, makan, and Pakistan. So what we can do, we'll have to do something. What we are trying to promote. Government of India has already declared by 2070, we will have to achieve net zero emission. There will be no emission. It is an extremely optimistic target, but still it is important. What we can do, we can have to rely more and more on bright sunlight. We are endowed with huge bright sunlight all over the country. This bright sunlight needs to be tamed, not the coal or fossil fuel, what right at this moment we are doing. Second is we generate waste. Kolkata generating about 4,500 tons of waste every day. You, citizen, only more than 300 grams per day, 300 to 400 grams. And this includes plastic, construction demolition waste, biomedical waste, and many other kinds of waste. Where does it go? It goes to Dhapa. We have created 1, 2, 3 hills. If you go to northern side of the city at Pramod Nagar, near Dakshineshwar temple, you will find another hill. In West Bengal, there are 107 such hills. In each cases, after the order from National Green Tribunal, thanks to court, we have started biomining. And this waste, no waste is waste. It should be converted into resource. It has been a linear economy. What is linear economy? Produce, consume, and dispose. Straight line. And now this waste should again be brought into the system to produce resource. This is called circular economy. The plastic, right at this moment, globally, 460 million tons of plastic is being produced. And one plastic bottle may have a lifespan of about 20 minutes. A plastic bag may have a lifespan of about 12 minutes. And then you throw away. How long it remains in the earth? More than 1,000 years maybe. But this plastic waste can give you an opportunity of a business of about 11 lakh crore. Fortunately, in West Bengal, there are 29 registered plastic recyclers right at this moment. Those who have started to work. 1 plus bottle to bottle unit has started. The PET Coke box is being recycled, and we are trying to create what we call pellet or biofuel from this waste. But one issue is that this cannot directly be burned in any furnace. We need an integrated cement plant where temperature should be at least 11 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, there will be greenhouse gas emission. So we are trying. If you go to Dhapa, it has already started. The waste is being, so each factory must have this waste recycling system. As my friend rightly says that it is the order from the also code, the industry should also practice zero liquid discharge. Not a single drop of wastewater should come out of the factory. It should be recycled and brought back into the chain. One important issue is that we talk about industry, but we don't talk about agriculture. That has created greatest harm to the environment in our country. Dr. Muller invented DDT. He was given Nobel Prize. Churchill, at that point of time, he said it is a miracle because they control malaria and many other waterborne diseases. Subsequently, considering the impact on public health and environment, Europe and America banned it. So this Since 1960s, we gradually switch over from organic agriculture to chemical agriculture. At that point of time, we used to produce 80 million tons of food grains. Now we produce more than 3 times of that. Yes, but the impact on environment is huge. The biodiversity loss, no one has so far counted. One train runs from Bikaner to Bhatinda that is locally described as cancer special. It is alarming. If you are an alert citizen, if you look at your surroundings, you will find every 4 or 5 houses, you will find one cancer patient. I had the misfortune of visiting Tata Memorial Hospital here in Kolkata because one of my friend, তোমার মনে আছে অভির কথা, অভি দত্ত মজুমদার, he died at the age of 46. I was visiting Tata Memorial Hospital. I saw that a boy of about 8 and the senior most citizen of 80 all were registered in the patient's list. I was talking with the doctor. He said that yes, our food chain is contaminated, our ecosystem is contaminated. We are living in a degraded ecosystem where water, soil, air, and biodiversity, everything is contaminated. We can't live alone. In this ecosystem, we are living in an ecosystem where everything is connected with everything else. If you think that Einstein's কথাও বলছিলেন, Einstein একবার বলছিলেন, if you see that bees are disappearing from the ecosystem, you will have to take it granted that you will have to disappear because it cross-pollinate and that leads to your food production. So the insect which cross-pollinate, when you go on putting insecticides on the agricultural field, they also disappear. So we'll have to understand that we are living in an ecosystem where everything is connected to everything else. Second law of ecology, everything must go somewhere. River, having the source at Gobuk, it will ultimately come to the Bay of Bengal and it will carry sediment load. If you try to stop somewhere, that means it is suicidal. You are opposing the hydrological cycle. Third, whatever you do, you will have to pay a cost. And fourth law is most important, very close to my heart. Nature knows the best kind of engineering. Don't try to dominate over the nature. Try to live with nature. It reminds me a few lines of the Dialectics of Nature written by Friedrich Engels long back, if my memory serves me right, in 1876. He was German. It was subsequently translated into English in 1926 or so, and then it became popular. He said, let us not flatter ourselves on account of human victories over the nature. For each such victory, nature will take the revenge. Initially, you will get some benefit. Subsequently, the nature will take such a revenge that you will just disappear. Right at this moment, we are getting the same signal. Last 16 years, 16 cyclones have been generated over Bay of Bengal. Sea surface temperature over Bay of Bengal is increasing at a globally highest rate. Sea level rise is 7 millimeter per year, which is globally highest. And 13 islands along the West Bengal coast have lost 176 square kilometer land during last 50 years. So indication is very clear. So we have to change our lifestyle. We shall have to do something. And I believe that some small efforts can change. We are trying to promote one program, what we call Mission Life. Sir, we are trying to motivate the school children. What kind of small change in their lifestyle, in say in case of energy, in case of water use, in case of waste management, in case of greening, they can do and do something for the nature that will give you. If the Kolkata can be made breathable, all other cities can be done. But it needs people's participation. I believe that no pollution control board, no chamber can alone achieve the success. It should be a people's movement where each and every citizen should come forward to make India clean and green and livable. With these few words, I thank you all for your patient hearing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rudra. This was so insightful, and you so beautifully you narrated all these. And I take back that word. You cannot be villain to anybody. Actually, you have West Bengal Pollution Control Board is doing a fantastic job. And yes, the results are seen that this winter was the best that we have had. Before we open up for an interactive session, we have the pleasure of having Mrs. Lata Bajoria over here. Sir was saying that small efforts can make all the difference. And I would like her to share some of her thoughts and what she does, either in her beautiful sprawling lawns in the house or the simple things of life. So would like you to share your thoughts.
It's your needs. So I am doing that in my own life. I've stopped ironing my clothes, whatever little things I can do. So if you reduce your needs, the problem is solved. First you create. I don't use plastic. I'm a jute person. So one plastic bag is equal to the usage of 600 times of a single plastic bag, for example. So these are very small things which we can all do in our own lives. Whatever you can do, whatever I can do, every which way, you see, that is the bottom line. And of course, I'm growing plants, as Mr. Rudra said, the plants which are useful. So they also control. I'm not using pesticide. I have a beautiful garden. For the last 30 years, I've not used any pesticide. And I'm creating my own, manure. So I'm only using that. Sprawling. So I'm making plants, teaching people about. Schools are coming and I'm teaching them about basically about biodiversity. So I think these are simple things to be done. Nothing very great.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing these thoughts. We'll have a Q&A session right now. Would request everybody to be asking only questions. After cricket and Bollywood and politics, the fourth thing we can comment very freely is on environment. So please, we all are experts, but I would suggest that let's have only questions and let the experts answer the questions. And the first one, Renuka ji, and then Mr. Khandelwal. Yeah.
The common misconceptions businesses have about climate action.
We can't hear.
Common misconceptions
On the mic.
businesses about climate action.
Common misconceptions that businesses have about climate actions.
I will just give you some example. Okay, madam. While running an industry, is it okay? While running an industry, or even you are living in a household, what you do? You generate waste, you emit carbon dioxide, and you generate wastewater. So you are polluting water, you are polluting air, and you are also discarding your waste everywhere or somewhere. So this needs to be reduced. The common misconception about the industries, I believe that each industry should be try to develop such a system. Whatever, first thing is that there are technology that by which you can totally reduce your emission. It is possible, it is costly, but it is doable. One. Second is you can convert your waste into resources. Third is both liquid and most important is that the business should not be guided by the logic of profit. It should be guided by the logic of environment.
Sir, how can businesses, how can organizations balance profitability with sustainability?
Whenever we think about the profit, we externalize some cost on environment. Say you are running a system, you are exploiting groundwater table. Maybe agriculture, just I give you an example. You cultivate dry variety paddy. Okay. During its lifetime, it has a demand of about 1500 millimeter in 4 months. 1500 millimeter of water is required vertical for 4 months lifespan. And this, if you look at the rainfall pattern of the South Bengal, it is about 1800 millimeter annually. Okay. And 20% of this recharges the groundwater. That means 360 millimeter is going down to groundwater table. And you are exploiting 1500 millimeter because you had a bank balance. For thousands of years, groundwater had been recharged there, and it was a pure groundwater pool, which we have exploited during the last 3 decades or so. So try to restrict this within the replenishable limit. This is point number 1. Try to use as far as possible surface water, not the groundwater. And try to select such crops which are less water intensive. Since 1960s, we made a mistake because we had understanding that we can achieve hydrological equity. Say farmers of relatively less rainfall area of country never cultivated rice because rice is extremely water intensive. Bengal Delta has plenty of water. Bengal Delta can provide. But when we started to build the large dams, and Nehru had the vision that large dams will be the temples for modern India, and they believed that we can achieve an hydrological equity. With this conception, we switched over from less water intensive crop to more and more water intensive crop. And that created more and more demand. But the canal dam network which we have created, official database says that whatever water we have stored in the dam and reservoir and whatever water is reaching the ground on the agriculture is 40% of what we have stored thereon. 60% is evaporation and transmission distribution loss. And that compels the farmers to rely more and more on groundwater table. And groundwater table depleted at faster. And that in Bengal Delta, what we find, either contamination with arsenic, contamination with fluoride, or salinity. So I don't say that don't touch groundwater. Touch groundwater, exploit to the level the next rainy season will replenish. That is about 360 millimeter or so. This is my idea. This is called living with the nature. Reducing the demand, switching over to crop which is less water intensive, and industry may accordingly be reframed.
Thank you. Mr. Rajendra Khandelwal.
Rudra Babu, it was an eye-opener for all of us. It was so scary, so scary. I only suggest our president to please, we must have recorded the entire speech. If you can forward to us in the mails to our members so that we can go through detail. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Achu Chandra.
All 3 panelists, I'll come up with 3. I'll start with Dr. Rudro. I just recently was seeing a YouTube program by some expert that Bengal's groundwater level is dangerously below, right? Out here, where is the executive's plan? Recently, I went with a friend to buy a flat in Newtown. I was surprised. Action Area 1, apart from that, the major multi complexes, condo villas don't have water connection. So businessmen, it is the executive's duty. And I hope your department will be sending these messages. I was seeing in Action Area 1 is the small cooperative buildings, so very small ones. But the major mass buildings are outside the NKDA jurisdiction and no one has water connection. Number one. Number two, we are talking about the plastics. Where is the executives holding back? Did we have 15 years ago sachet? We didn't. Today we are blind, we cannot do without it. Let's not talk about big plastic. You see the bowls, all the bowls have sweets. In our childhood, didn't we have sweets? Today, shampoo, sweets, soap, you name it, everything sachet. Is the executive bowing down to the industrial FMCG industry? Sometime back in my locality, the drain was jammed, and without rain, the entire area got flooded. The KMC people, you won't believe, tons of these sachets came out. So it is business will, businessmen, I can tell you, are like kindergarten children. You hit them with the stick, they will be thing. But the teacher has to be the executive. We cannot, as you said, businessmen will sacrifice their profit. No businessman will do that. So once you clamp down, your department does, the executive does, then only a country can move forward. And just last question, that is for my knowledge, how effective is the groundwater recharging? That's the question.
তুমি বলবেন আমি বলবো হ্যাঁ সব আমার দিকে এগিয়ে দাও কেন this is the delta. If you examine the little technical, this is stratigraphy of this delta. This is built of very fine clay, Kolkata. This does not allow ready infiltration. This is point number one. Okay. Second is this city is 205 square kilometer, 205 square kilometer, mostly built up. Built up means you are not allowing any infiltration. Whatever groundwater recharge in Kolkata you see, it is from Kollani and surrounding area and Horinghata area. It is coming down to that. This is point number two. Yes, what we expect regarding the regulatory order, Pollution Control Board do not have the exclusive right to impose any restriction on this. We are one of the regulatory authority, but we expect scientifically correct decision. You too expect, but there is some authority above us. I am clear. I don't hesitate to say they want politically correct decision. And here is the greatest crisis of the Indian democracy. Starting from the topmost governor down to panchayat level, in all cases they want politically correct decision. And this is the crisis of environment. This is the crisis of Indian democracy. So had you been on my chair, you would find the same difficulty to execute this. Yes.
I tried to, or rather we tried to introduce safety packaging for horticulture and agriculture. And what is happening now, the season for mango, lychee and all that, is illegal tree felling. And we were introducing paper packaging, globally accepted. Those all are pending. It's now 2013 we started this movement. Thankfully, Muzaffarpur has adopted 70% packaging in paper. But our Bengal, I have been traveling all over India campaigning for healthy packaging for our agriculture and horticulture. As you said, they are the biggest criminal in ecological damage. This is one of the factors of agriculture. Just as cutting trees and packing during season and going to bed.
Waste management is guided by the government of India. Uh, and say we talk about 120 micron. Okay. It is in case of plastic carry bag only. But in case of packaging, you will find the most of the waste, plastic waste, comes from packaging industry. And this packaging industry, when you are going to market, you will find gutka, biscuit, everything covered with plastic. So this creates a huge waste. And the e-commerce, that also generate a huge waste almost every day. If you go to market and want to replace your refrigerator, it will come to your home with packaging with thermocol, plastics, and pieceboard. What you will do, you will have to give it to your nearest waste collector that is coming from municipality. What he or she will do, it will ultimately go to the dump site. The segregation at source was very important. That was a guideline. But we are working in a reverse way. We have some compactor. Everywhere you can say everything is compacted and it goes to the dump site and then it is being disintegrated. So cost increases. But still, I believe that something is being done. There are 29 recyclers, they are working, and unorganized sector, there are many. They are also trying to recover this waste.
Thank you. Last, Mr. Gulat, sorry, you have to add something, Professor. Yes, please.
Just one comment. Yeah.
First, yeah.
Sir was talking about the, single-use plastic, but colored plastic packets, actually they transmit this color to materials like, fishes, chickens, okay? And this is highly toxic and this is carcinogenic. So one should be very careful about that. We bring those materials with this particular, plastic, packets. And those, things are very toxic. And not only that, I'm talking about another thing that is known as the personal care products. The dyes, hair colors from all those, salons and all, things are there. So a lot of personal care products are coming. Those are highly toxic and highly detrimental. So we should be very careful about that. I do not know. Those are actually those are called as gray water. So this gray water is highly toxic and those are going to the agricultural fields. Those are going here and there. And there is just one observation I can communicate to you. For the last 30 years or so, we have developed certain diseases or problems. One such problem is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And polycystic ovarian syndrome, I was talking to a doctor who is doing some kind of research with me. He was telling that after taking some specific, food materials, I'm not mentioning those food materials here. So after taking those food materials, because for the production of those materials, they are introducing certain, hormones. Okay. Certain hormones, and those hormones are detrimental and that can do such problems inside the female body. When it is entering those hormones, that is mimicking the female hormones. Okay, some of the toxic materials that can mimic the estrogens. So that is actually destroying the estrogen level of the female body. So we do not know how that is impacting you.
Yes.
That is a study of epidemiology. Right? And even the height of the ladies are being impacted. That is observation of the doctors.
Mr. Gulati?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the kind information, and Mr. Rudra explained about our pollution in West Bengal and whole explanation. So as I am from the leather industry, I'm the past president of Indian Leather Products Association, which Bantullah come under me. And we are there, we have 100 factory and all over 300 factory. We are using now, after the restriction from the international buyer, all material of the, particularly in the product, we are using the reusable lining, reusable metal fitting, reusable whatever the out of waste we are making and using maximum material for that one. So I have one request from Mr. Rudra, because we get the permission and we have a 3-4 category of the pollution certificate. One is a white, orange, red. So our product is the leather goods, which is totally non polluted, nothing. So we are problem facing of the white category, because now government of India has announced it is the white category. So there we are not getting any kind of a certificate. So our other factories are facing problem to get the certification. So that's a question I have only.
Is your entire system dry process? Is your
Yes, yes, dry, totally dry. sir.
entire system is
Completely, yeah. It is earlier it was green, but now the government of India has announced is the white category. So
Yes.
there we are not getting any certification for that.
do you generate any kind of waste during cutting or anything like that?
We cutting, but then that also we send to the suppliers to reuse that waste also. So we are reusing this waste also.
Do you facing any problem to get consent from the Pollution Control Board?
Yes.
Huh?
We are
For
facing.
how many days your application is pending there on?
That I can, because I have an association, my executive director is here. We
Yes.
have about 200 members in my
No, no.
association.
Actually, we recently we started to check it. Not more than 15 days it should be pending at our end if the application is correct. If challan is generated and you have submitted the proper fees, it should not be remain pending more than 15 days at our end.
I think, Arpita, you just check.
Still consent to establish and operate for white category.
We are talking.
The white category, if my memory serves me right, one intimation is required to the Pollution Control Board. Yes.
Because
If any particular unit is facing any problem, you are at liberty to see me. Please after 5th of June, because still আমার মেয়ের বিয়ে আছে 5th June, ওটা শেষ হয়ে গেলে
because this was the question. So a lot of Tenri are coming, a lot of product manufacturers are coming. So they face. So I said, you are there and you're the right person to ask it.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Last 3 questions, 2 on this side and 1 maybe on this side, were starting with Akshay Brinjachka. He represents the toy industry.
Good evening. As said, I am representing toy industry, and we are one of the largest toy manufacturer, plastic toy manufacturer, and you will be happy to know that we have 0% solid waste from our industry. From our own manufacturing facility, we don't have any solid waste from our industry. And yes, we have liquid waste that we are working on. My question was, I was reading about you, Rudra sir. There was a journal in 2007, Water as Foe and Water as Friend. Can you please throw some light on it with a best example, how we can understand this as an enemy, as a friend, both for water?
The paper you referred to, it was a joint paper with Professor Graham Chapman. At that point of time, he was teaching in the Lancaster University, UK. We together worked on the 2000 disastrous flood. So we always believe that what we have trying, the people of Bengal used to welcome the flood, because the flood leaves behind a very fertilizing silt on the agricultural field. So without any chemical fertilizer or anything like that, you will get bumper crop. It recharges the groundwater table, it flushes the sediment load, and it also serves many other ecosystem services. This is how the water can help you as a friend. But when it destroys the national, say, communication lines, or it enters to your house, damage the houses or crops, it is often treated as a foe. So this had been our vision, but it is not the responsibility of the nature. The way we started to behave with the river, it had some repercussion. Just one example that will make it clear. We had also been taking out the river bank erosion in Murshidabad and Malda. River has a tendency to erode its banks, but it has a limit. Within a certain area, it laterally oscillates, what we call meander belt. That area is the playground of the river. Ideally, there should not be any national highway, railway line aligned with thereon. It should be beyond that. And river should be allowed to come and go back thereon. So it is failed to prepare a scientific land use plan. And since the colonial rule, when we started to build the railway line, what they did, they created bore pit, bore soil, and they wanted to railway line above certain height. And that ditch subsequently became the breeding ground of the malarial mosquito. And half of the population of the Bardhaman and Hooghly died. Agricultural productivity declined. Here, the water, what you call it is our enemy. It is not the water. It is our wrong planning that compelled the water to do so.
Thank you. Yeah, question from there.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the speakers to enlighten us. My name is Animesh Sen. I am a professional geologist, having done my master's from Calcutta University as back as 1962. And also I am a builder also. Now, the Calcutta had always, the eastern side had been the drainage outlet area all through. And it was connected with Vidyadhari, Matla, and there was a river in transport. Now, after it has the development of the eastern Calcutta, do you consider that the planners at that point of time did the right planning to expand towards the East Calcutta environmentally?
Sir, since you are a geologist, earth scientist, you know everything. If you go through the basic development plan of the KMDA, it was clearly written in the initial document, the Calcutta should not be allowed to grow eastward. It was clearly written that. And let us take the example of Salt Lake City, Muhammad, and subsequently that of the new town. Can you believe that such too modern city was built without any proper scientific landfill site? And someone, I believe, coming out of IIT or something like that, did the same thing. They even did not take into account where the liquid waste or solid waste will go. The new town dumped it to the Mullarville, and this city is dumping to the Dhapa. And Salt Lake is now compelled to dump thereon. Is it?
I think
Have been better
I think
not
Dr.
to have expanded towards the east.
I think Dr. Rudra has already answered your question. Yes.
What's the way out? Now the new town is getting waterlogged.
Yeah.
Drainage is poured. Water is coming back.
Yeah.
Is there something there?
Yeah. No, he adequately answered your question, actually, what else can he do beyond that? One last question, especially first right to the ladies, otherwise gentlemen. No, there's nobody, so that's your last question. Yeah.
A very simple layman's question, that we make these carry bags as a villain for the environmental change or whatever you say. Now, irrespective of the microns, we do not understand much. 50, below 50, above 50, and so. If that is a problem, then why the source of production is not stopped by the government. They are going in the market, catching the shopkeepers, why you are keeping this, and our mayor is also asking that you give me a carry bag to carry goods. Why the government don't take this action to stop the production, the source itself? It's a very simple question, sir.
Yes.
না না আনসারও খুব সিম্পল হ্যাঁ সেটা হচ্ছে ক্যান উই ডু সামথিং এলস আদার ওয়ে রাউন্ড উই জাস্ট রিফিউজ আই উইল নট টেক ইট দিস ইজ আ রেজিস্ট্যান্স ফ্রম বায়ার সেন্ট I had been purchasing apple or some other fruits in my locality. One gentleman with a girl of about 10 years came to the market and purchased some fruits and then demanded a carry bag. The seller, knowing me, looked at me and said, "E parai amra eta dite parbo na." Then he said, "I will not purchase." Then the seller looked at me, said, "This is my problem. আমি গরিব মানুষ, আমার অর্ধেক বিক্রি কমে যাবে." The child sitting beside his father said, "বাবা তোমার এটা ভুল হচ্ছে, তোমার ব্যাগ আনা উচিত ছিল." আমি বললাম যে who said, who taught you? বাচ্চাটাকে জিজ্ঞেস কর, বললো আমার টিচার শিখিয়েছিল। হ্যাঁ,
That's fantastic. That is what actually, this is how children will revolutionize the way we.
Additionally, we
think.
have to add another R, that is the refuse. Like we know the recycle, reuse, so we must add another R, that is to refuse.
Yeah. So, before, yes, one more line if I can add before handing over for a vote of thanks by Nilima ji, is please try to work with KMDA and Kolkata police to curb burning of dry leaves and other wastes in winters by the municipal workers themselves. Actually, last winters I've noticed it has come down a bit, but there's still a long way to go. It's our man-made, a government agency people created problem actually. So if you can work with them, it will be fantastic. I would now request first we'll have a memento to the speakers and then the vote of thanks. Sorry.
I would request President Mr. Pachisia to please present a memento to Dr. Kalyan Rudra, Chairman, West Bengal Pollution Control Board. Request Madam Shah, Chairperson, to hand over the memento to Dr. Swati Nandi Chakravarti. Mr. Pachisia, President, would once again hand the memento to Dr. Aniruddha Mukhopadhyay.
Thank you. Can I request Ms. Nilima Joshi ji, past chairperson, Bharat Chamber Ladies Forum, to give a vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Patricia ji.
Dr. Rudra, Dr. Chakravarti, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, Patricia ji, my colleagues in the committee and in the Ladies Forum, guests and friends. At the end of the special session on fostering climate consciousness, business and beyond, organized by our chamber with the Ladies Forum jointly, commemorating World Environment Day 2025, it is my most pleasant duty to move a hearty vote of thanks to our guest-in-chief, Dr. Kalyan Rudra, Chairman of the West Bengal Pollution Control Board, for sparing some of his valuable time today to address us and share his insightfulness, perspectives on climate change and its impact. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to our guests of honor, Dr. Swati Nandi Chakravarti, Environment Consultant to the Cantonment Board, Government of India, and Dr. Aniruddha Mukhopadhyay, Professor, Department of Environmental Science at the University of Calcutta, for their esteemed presence and valuable insight to today's session. As we gather today to commemorate World Environment Day, we are reminded that fostering climate consciousness is no longer a choice, but an urgent necessity. It calls for a transformative mindset that goes beyond individual actions to encompass business communities and government alike. The health of our environment is inseparable from our economic and social well-being, and addressing climate change demands collaborative innovation, responsible leadership, and sustainable practices at every level. Let us unite our efforts across sectors and borders to embrace ecological responsibility and drive meaningful change. Together, we can build a resilient future where both people and the planet thrive in harmony. My thanks are due to the members of the Chamber and Ladies Forum for attending the special session. With these words, I request you all to join me in carrying a hearty vote of thanks to our guest in chief, guests of honor, and an appreciative explanation. Thank you.
Yeah.